Chag Sameach. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce this morning's speaker for you, and thank you for indulging me as I beam with love. So let's start learning together. Abayudaya. Abayudaya. Say it. Abayudaya. Literally, the people of Judah, in the language of Uganda, commonly known as the Jews of Uganda. Shoshana Nambi graduated from Kampala International University, Kampala, Uganda, where she was a student whose university education was funded by the Abayudaya Higher Education Program, about which I'm very proud. In 2011, I traveled to Uganda visiting several of the Abayudaya villages to meet many of the graduates, students of our program, and those who wish to apply. And it was there that I met Shoshana, her daughter Emunah, then age 2. Emunah just had her bat mitzvah. And they're here with us today. After graduation, Shoshana worked part-time as an HIV counselor and agricultural educator. She worked 3 summers as a camp counselor and Tefillah coordinator at URJ Camp Coleman in Cleveland, Georgia. Learning more about Judaism there paved the way for her dream of becoming a rabbi. She traveled across the U.S. in the fall of 2013 and 2014, teaching about her community with an emphasis on the role of women in her village. After a year of studying Hebrew and Jewish texts at the Pardes Institute of Jewish Studies in Yerushalayim, she was offered admission to HUC, Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion in New York City, and spent her first year at its Jerusalem campus. She recently authored her very first children's book, entitled The Very Best Sukkah, about the holiday of Sukkot and the joyful way it is celebrated in her community. It is with great pride that I introduce you to a woman who was my student, who became my friend, my daughter, and whose student I have now become. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Shoshana Nambi. Here you go.
That sounds way more impressive than I am. I would like to, it's Zman Simchatenu, so it's a time of, happiness, of joy, and one of the ways that we feel joy is singing and celebrating together, and I would like to sing with you a Hine Matov that is from my community in Uganda. You can join me on the Hebrew parts. You are not obligated to sing the Uganda at this point. I would love for you to sing. So I'm going to sing it through, and you can join me whenever you feel comfortable joining. La 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 la. La 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 la. Hinema tovu umanai shevet achim gam yachad. Hinema tovu umanai shevet achim gam yachad. Lava wekulyo kulunji wekusanyusa avolu Uganda okutula. Lava wekulyo kulunji wekusanyusa avolu Uganda okutula. Inema tovu umanai shevet achim gam yachad. Inema tovu umanai shevet achim gam yachad. Thank you. So I grew up in the Abayudaya Jewish community of Uganda, and I grew up with my grandparents. I grew up on the farm. We were subsistence farmers, and we grew crops, maize and beans and groundnuts, and we had goats. I had a goat of my own. My brothers had goats, and so we grew up, farming. And my grandparents also grew coffee, so that was the cash crop that we would sell if we needed something else, money to buy other things. I grew up very close to the synagogue, about 5 minutes walk away from the synagogue. So basically my entire life I spent it at the synagogue, singing and being Purim plays with my friends, and all my best friends now are people that I grew up with, welcoming guests. And we used, as young women, we used to take out the kids during the Torah study outside and teach them about the Torah portion and sing songs and teach them Hebrew. We went to Hebrew school. So basically I grew up in the community, and I was one of those kids that everybody said, maybe you will be a rabbi at some point, and I proved them, right, that I'm in rabbinic school. I'm in my 4th year of rabbinic school at Hebrew Union College, and I am proud my daughter is here with me. We both live, and my friend, we live in New York City. So I just to maybe tell everybody a little bit about the Jewish community in Uganda. It's a community that is about 100 years old now. It's a community that all converted to Judaism, and it started by one person who worked with the British and was in the army, and he was also a prince in the kingdom. So he knew, he was educated, and he read the Bible that the British gave him. And so he started practicing all these, cultures and practices that were in what he called the Old Testament. So he, started praying on Shabbat. He, built a temple in his own home. He had resources to do that, and he circumcised his kids. And because of his influence, because he met different people over his lifetime, he met somebody who was traveling from Yemen, who was a Jew traveling from Yemen. We remember him by the name of Joseph, who came to the community. And when he met him, he told him, what you do looks very similar to what Jewish people do around the world. And from that day onwards, he wanted to be Jewish, and he wanted to learn more about Judaism, to which Joseph taught him as much as he could. And so the prayers were based on, he ripped out the Christian Bible. He ripped out the New Testament. He was he was a very, so he ripped out the New Testament, and he kept the 5 books of Moses. And so he based all his practices and everything on this, the Torah, basically. There was no rabbinic Judaism, and so a lot of the prayers were about songs and psalms. And there's a very beautifully written Hazinu, which we read, I think, last week. The whole Torah portion was translated and broken down into sections and composed melodies and chants too. So people would just sit down and chant and sing. So he died, unfortunately, in 1928. And when he died, because he was very charismatic, he had brought in a lot of people, and a lot of people wanted to be Jewish and to join with him and to learn with him, including my great-grandfather, including our grandfathers. So when he died, the number of the people went down because everybody went back to being Christian or other religions that they were part of. He was the leader, he was the learned one. But we have a few people who took Judaism on to the next level. And fast forward, the community did a conversion in 2002, where we had conservative rabbis and reform rabbis come to the community. And our rabbi, who went to Ziegler, was also studying at that point. He came with this group of rabbis, and they did a bet din. At that point, we have some sections of the community that, broke off and became Orthodox because they wanted to be Orthodox, and we have conservative communities. So I'm proud to say that even in Uganda, we also don't have synagogues that we don't go to. Except that, we know each other. We are family, and everybody, when there's a wedding, when there's a celebration, we all go. There's really nothing that we can't go to, but it's, we try to make it look like that. So we are now about 2,000 Jews in Uganda, mostly in eastern Uganda, and we have about 12 communities that are separated by villages, different villages, and because of the distance, at some point we had only one learning center where we had one rabbi, and now we have trained, the rabbi trained some of the young people to lead in their own communities, so people don't have to travel long distances to come to the synagogue, and we have an Orthodox ordained rabbi, and I'm learning through Hebrew Union College to become a rabbi, so probably the number of learned people and community leaders are growing. So I worked at summer camp, and I realized I always wanted to be a rabbi, but I did not know where to start from. But meeting different rabbis, they sent me, they recommended me to go and visit here, theological seminaries. So I went to JTS and HUC, and fast forward, I'm here, and the community looks almost the same. The same prayers. We do a lot of things that are similar, except the food. We don't have bagels for kiddush. We do, a typical Shabbat meal will be rice and beans and vegetables. We try, people keep kosher. It's a little bit hard, but we also have customs that, for example, we don't eat meat and milk together as a Ugandan tradition. It's not only the Jewish tradition. Like, we have milk for breakfast and lunch, meat is lunch or dinners, there's no mixing, which really helped so people don't have to, work out things. There are so many tribes that do circumcision in Uganda, so that is not a very big issue. When we come to celebration, some of my favorite holidays, Sukkot, which is right now, and Pesach, the Jewish community is also, it ties its celebration into the history of the community as well. So we build sukkahs, just like we would do now. We sing songs. The community has been so proud to be Jewish, I think. In my community, takes a lot of commitment and takes ingenuity, and people have learned, even before the exposure, before the help from Jews from around the world, people had developed ways of making challah over open fire, crocheting our own kippot and talits, and like all these things, and prayers without or a lot of facilities or material things. So the community has been doing this for a really long time, and we're very grateful for learning and Jews around the world who visit. We have a community center in one of the capital cities in Kampala, which is mostly for students, but now it's for a lot of experts and people who work in Kampala who join the students for prayers. We have Chabad, we have so many things. And in the community, we have a lot of music. Like I sang Hinematov. We have a lot of psalms and Hebrew songs, like Hadodi, Adon Olam, that we've composed traditional songs to, traditional rhythms and melodies too. And so we influenced by drums and African relics, so we do sing those. So if you came in a sukkah in Uganda, it would be like a built sukkah. It would be built by local trees, and leaves. It would be a lot of fruits hanging, local fruits like passion fruits and watermelons, jackfruits, and a lot of things. And the village would smell like ripening fruits. And we would sing. I would sit down and eat in each other's sukkah and sing mostly a lot of local songs and melodies. One of the times during Idi Amin, we had a hard time during Idi Amin in Uganda that people who were building sukkahs were arrested for building sukkahs, and people talk about this during Sukkot, were arrested and taken to prison. People had to bribe with goats and with land so that they can be let out. So when we celebrate Sukkot, like we are joyful, but we also remember those painful moments as well. Even during Passover, it was a really hard time, and people have caves where they prayed in hiding during Idi Amin's time because they were Jewish. And so this is something, a lot of celebrations are also tied into the history of the community as well. we do not have yet lulavs and the proper, species for waving lulav. I remember, I think there was a very big chaos of somebody who brought in lulav through the airport to bring it to the community. We have planted them. They don't do well in the community, so we end up, using palms and other things. But I remember having a really long line of people who wanted to wave the lulav and the actual etrog, standing like really long lines to come and do that. So I thank you so much. This community has been inviting us for a really long time. I think over maybe like 20 years. We had the first speaker who came to this community in 20 years. We've been wonderful partner community, and I'm so grateful to be here. I am around if you have some questions. My children's book that I wrote that you introduced is basically about the celebration of Sukkot and this Sukkah competition that we used to have in the community, and walking around and seeing everybody's Sukkah, people decorating it with special skills and special talents. So Hags Sukkot Sameach. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Shoshana. First of all, thank you and Sarah and Emunah for coming and joining us for Hag. Can I ask you one question, yes, just a single question? So you're at HUC in your 4th year. Could you speak to the creative tensions between Ugandan Judaism and American Judaism? What's different? What's different? What are the contrasts? What are the creative tensions between the Judaism of your homeland and the Judaism where you live now?
That's a very interesting question. I'm studying through, first of all, I'm studying through a reform seminary, and my community is mostly conservative and some parts are Orthodox. So I'm going to go back. I'm hoping to go back home to be a rabbi at home. But I know the community, and the community, has, they love praying, and they love Torah study, and it's an egalitarian community that is open to women leadership. So that is not an issue. Some of the things the community want to remain with its, or, like in, I don't know how to say it, but to remain with, a lot of things that they have created themselves. So there's always a tension about what we are learning, what we want to learn and bring back, and also what, the community has created on its own. So I think that's like always something that is not a big conflict, but something that is being talked about. So there's been over the years books and everything, and we are hoping from today, we are hoping that the community can create more of its own original melodies and its own maybe siddur, or at some point, Haggadahs and all these things. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
thank you so much, Shoshana. We're so grateful for your Torah.
Thank
Chag
you.
Sameach, and thank you so
Sameach.
much for being here.
Thank you.